What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? My name is Jacob, and I would like to do my informative speech topic on the United States crime rate. And the reason why I would like to do my speech on the United States crime rate is to inform the class about how it has actually declined from 1990 to 2018, and that pertains to the crime rate in the United States. Let's get started. First and foremost, over the past 2 decades in the United States, there have been some instances, well, not some, well, numerous instances of crime that have accumulated a lot of worldwide attention, in part due to the emotional trauma that they have caused. A few instances that I would like to mention in this case include the Berkeley Marine Corps Recruiting Center protests in 2007, the murder of Trayvon Martin in 2012, and last but certainly not least, the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in 2018. Now, with the amount of violence and chaos transpiring in the US throughout the decades, the question remains: has the crime rate in the United States really increased since the 1990s? Now, let's dive into this topic. With my first piece of evidence, the Federal Bureau of Investigation reported that violent crime actually fell nationwide in the period from 1990 to 2018. To elaborate further on that, the violent crime was at a height of 1.93 million crimes in 1992, but since then, it has reached a low of 1.15 million violent crimes, and that happened in 2014, according to Statista.com. Now, with my second piece of evidence that I would like to provide, FBI data shows that the rate fell by 54% between 1993 and 2018, while BJS reports a decline of 69% during that span, according to PewResearch.org. Now, these two pieces of evidence prove that our crime rate has surprisingly declined throughout the decades, but it is still important to take into consideration the amount of chaos, the amount of madness, the amount of mass shootings, and I would also like to dive further into that. The amount of mass shootings that have happened throughout the past decade, and it's important that we do not neglect those, and we continue to be aware of our surroundings, and we continue to look out for one another the best way that we possibly could. So, the reason why I would like to talk about mass shootings from my own personal experience, although I wasn't actually there in person, is because it took place at a Walmart in August of 2019. And the reason why it really resonated with me is because I work at a Walmart myself. My position is a cart pusher, and since I'm a cart pusher, we are more vulnerable to instances like that if they were to occur. Now, luckily for me, it hasn't, but it definitely opens my mind up to the possibility of us potentially having one because of how many that have occurred throughout the past decade. Now, this mass shooting in particular happened in El Paso, Texas, and the outcome of the shooting was 22 killed people and about 24 other people that were injured. And the shooting was investigated as an act of domestic terrorism and a possible hate crime. Now, I talked about this because, like I said earlier, this really resonated with me. It hit me on a very deep level because it makes me realize that what I do right now for my source of income could make me very, very, very vulnerable to events like that, to people like that with malicious intent. But it's really important for me to be aware of that, for me to keep my head on swivel, and to make sure that I do everything in my power to avoid that if such an instance were to occur. Now, to conclude, crime is slightly becoming less of an issue in America, like I mentioned earlier, but there is a catch. That does not take away from the fact that it continues to become an ongoing issue as we enter the next decade, as we enter the 2020s. Now, there are still a lot of people out there with malicious intent of inflicting harm upon others. It's unfortunate that there's people like that in today's world, and that's one of the main reasons why we can't fulfill world peace. Whether it be police officers or civilians, it is safe to say that no one is safe. The good news is that violence in America has simmered down a little bit, but the bad news is that it has not simmered down enough, so we have quite a lot of work to do. Thank you.